we've done it. We've finally hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel. So firstly, before anything else, thank you guys so much, all of the times you've subscribed for one, but also all of the times you guys have watched my videos. We're at almost 400,000 views of my videos on this channel. All the times you guys have liked the videos, left comments, etc, etc. I know that by YouTube standards, this channel is still pretty small, but like, it's crazy when you think about the fact that my videos have probably been watched like more times than some TV shows even, maybe. So thank you guys so much for all of the just general support that you guys have given me on this channel. I've had this channel for almost 10 years, and you know, I was a little worried it was going to take me like 10 years to hit 1,000 subscribers, but we did it in under 10 years. But either way, thank you guys for all the times you've watched my videos and everything over this past almost 10 years. I mean, there's a lot of people that have subscribed to this channel like a long time ago that are still subscribed to this channel. And also, I wanted to give a couple of specific thank yous as well. So, for one, my dad. As a lot of you guys are probably aware, my dad actually passed away a few years ago, but my dad was one of the people who supported this channel from the very beginning. He watched like almost all of my videos. He was always leaving comments. Even if he didn't like leave a comment on the actual video, he would text me about videos that I made and stuff and tell me what he liked about them and stuff. My dad was super supportive of my channel, and he was actually even in one of my videos if you guys want to hear what his voice sounds like. I have a video where we talked about Tossball from The Outer Worlds, and he's in that video. When I still had the channel with real life videos, he took me to a few places to record videos. He helped me with recording some videos. On this channel, he was always watching stuff and giving me feedback. And in general, my dad always really supported my interest in media. He was one of the first people to kind of get me interested in this type of stuff. He was always listening to like public radio and stuff when I was a kid and things like that. He introduced me to some of the people that are kind of like aspirational for me in some ways, like Conan O'Brien. I really enjoy Conan O'Brien's stuff. And like Saturday Night Live, I used to watch that a ton when I was a kid. So my dad, super important to not only this channel, but just in general my interest in media. I also want to give a specific thanks to my girlfriend. She also is somebody who's been super supportive of my channel. I met her in grad school back in 2020. Well, we met for the first time in 2022, but we didn't start dating until 2023. She's actually also been in one of my videos. She was in a video where we played Roblox together. She came and visited me, and she was on one of my live streams as well, but we didn't have it set up to where you could hear her voice. But at some point, we always talk about doing a live stream together. At some point, we really do need to do it. She's really funny. She's wonderful. She's gorgeous. We are long distance right now, even though we started dating in person. So there's a big time difference between us, which makes it kind of hard for us to collaborate on stuff like that sometimes. But nonetheless, like I said, she also, much like my dad, gives me feedback on a lot of my videos, watches a lot of my videos, and as I said, you guys have probably seen her in the chats of streams and in the comments and stuff, gentle comment, and she also was able to put up with me going into almost every CEX store I saw in England and Scotland. But she's a wonderful, gorgeous woman who also has really helped me with my channel. And then I also wanted to give a thanks to my mom. So my mom doesn't really watch my videos or anything like that. I know she knows I have a YouTube channel. I talked to her about it and stuff, but I don't know if my mom really like gets YouTube. She doesn't spend that much time on the internet, but nonetheless, she also is somebody who's been very supportive of all of my just general media interests and endeavors ever since I was a little kid. She was pretty much the one who put me through college and grad school, where I was able to learn a bunch of skills for various things, especially audio stuff. I really cannot like possibly overstate how important doing college radio was to learning skills for like mostly voiceover stuff, but just production things in general for multimedia stuff. And alongside that, my mom has always been kind of the one to like take me to GameStop and stuff like that when I was a little kid. Even though it's one of those things where even though I don't know if my mom has always understood my hobbies, she's always been very supportive of them. And so that's also a very important thank you that I wanted to give. So originally I had made this big list of talking points about stuff I wanted to say in this 1,000 subscriber update, and I talked about the history of the channel and a bunch of stuff like that, but I got like 20 minutes into recording the audio for it and realized that it was actually kind of really boring. So instead, I'm just gonna kind of talk about some of the important things that have been going on now and a little bit about the history of the channel, and then also what I'm planning on doing in the future on this channel. So even though I'm not going to really read off that giant list of stuff that I made, while I was making it, it did make me think about just the history of the channel and stuff that I've done before and what I'd like to do in the future on this channel. The main thing that kind of stood out to me was just how a lot of my older videos seem to be ones that have gotten a lot of views. I feel like some of the stuff that I've made recently hasn't really done super great. And in particular, something that really stood out to me was I kind of really miss making some of the Club Penguin videos that I used to make. It was really cool to review Club Penguin private servers and stuff, but the thing that's tough now is just with Club Penguin private servers is there was so much drama and issues with them back in like 2020 and 2021 when there was the whole thing with like some of the owners of those servers being pedophiles and stuff and like just insane stuff. And so I don't know how or like what I'll make, but I really would kind of like to try to make some more Club Penguin related stuff just because it was such an important game to me and a lot of other people when we were kids. And whenever I do make Club Penguin videos, they do tend to do pretty well. I also really want to try to make some more playthroughs, which is a thing that I've talked about quite a bit over the past few years on this channel without ever actually doing it. But playthroughs do tend to do pretty well on this channel, and they do especially well when I put them in a long play form and put them on Wulf's long plays. Additionally, even though I've hit 1,000 subscribers now, I still need at least 3,000 watch hours to start monetization on this channel. I have about 1,000 right now. Well, it's 3,000 within the past year, if I remember right. So I have 1,000 right now. That could fluctuate if I have another big video or something, but playthroughs are really good for watch time because they're usually pretty long. So that's another thing too. I don't really have a specific reason why I haven't done any playthroughs lately. It's mostly just that when I was working at my job that I had up until recently, I was kind of really busy. It was just hard sometimes for me to find time to sit down and play a game. And the thing is though, I actually have improved my setup now. I can record from almost every console that I have now pretty easily. I bought a ton of games while I was at my old job because I had a really big discount. So I have a lot of things to do playthroughs of. I just kind of need to do them. And the other thing that I've been thinking about trying to lean more into on this channel that I've actually done with some of my more recent videos is more videos about modding and just general experimenting with games. I've always been interested in games not only from a narrative perspective but also from like a mechanical perspective. And lately, ever since I've got a Windows computer that I bought a while back also at my old job for pretty cheap. It's not like super powerful, but it would have been really powerful like 10 years ago, which is fine because that's most of the age of the games that I play anyway. I've been messing around with emulators and dumping games. I've just found a bunch of really interesting things looking through the files of games, especially console games that like people haven't really modified that much, like Infamous 2, and how I've been messing around with figuring out ways to share UGC without actually using the UGC servers. Or even when I've made the videos about modding Club Penguin, those are pretty popular. The thing is, with some of these videos, they don't always do that well just because a lot of the times they're on pretty obscure topics. Or, again, with the Infamous 2 example, it's a thing that doesn't really matter at the moment, but I do think videos like that are kind of a good investment because some of the stuff that I've found and experimented with, I think is stuff that could become more popular and could help other people to work on stuff to kind of grow more of a community, if you get what I mean. Like, I found a couple games that haven't really been modded that much lately, but I've found ways that I think could be possible to mod them. So it's stuff that I need to work on. It's just those videos take a really long time to make sometimes because some of the stuff that I'm doing is super complicated and hard to figure out even for myself. And then outside of videos, there's a couple things to talk about, I guess. So I'll start with some real life stuff. So for one, I've been having some health stuff, not anything too crazy, but I just kind of wanted to mention it because it does affect my channel a little bit. So for one, I'm not sure, I haven't been diagnosed with it yet, but I kind of think I might have some form of long COVID because ever since like the third time I caught COVID, I've never really felt quite right. I've talked about it on streams and stuff a little bit before, but I had caught COVID back in 2023, the very end of 2023, and I remember it was not that long after I had started the job that I just left not that long ago, and I was like super enthusiastic about the new job. I was running around doing stuff all the time at work, and I was going like shopping after work or going and getting food after work or whatever, and I had a lot of energy. And then I caught COVID that time, and I've just never quite felt right after that. I've felt more lethargic. I've had stuffy noses way more often than I used to. And I mean, there's plenty of days where I have good days where I'm fine and I'm energetic and I go out and do stuff, but I just not quite felt as good ever since then. And similarly, I actually got sick this past January with something, and I don't know if it was COVID or not because I didn't get tested, but it was like some sort of flu-like illness. And I've kind of felt almost reset from that. Like I've felt even more tired out and stuff. And that's kind of a thing that can happen with long COVID is even if you're recovering from it, if you catch COVID again, it can make it even worse. I mean, COVID is so weird. I hate the fact that people don't really take it seriously still, because it is such a major issue still. And it's one of those things where you see like statistics and stuff, and I don't research everything that I see online, but I see so many things about how like kids are doing worse in school, people seem more sick than usual, stuff like that. And it's like, what's the new thing in the world? It's COVID. But I also wanted to mention too that alongside that, there's been stuff I've seen about how COVID can affect your body in all sorts of weird ways. And I've noticed ever since that third time I had caught COVID right after I got home from grad school back in late 2023, I've had like a bunch of other smaller things pop up. Got diagnosed with sleep apnea, got diagnosed with bruxism, have had stomach issues, have had headaches, stuff like that I never used to have, that all of a sudden popped up after I caught COVID. And then the other health thing that I wanted to mention too is that I've been having some issues with anxiety actually, which is kind of weird for me because I never used to be somebody who suffered from anxiety. But some of you guys might have heard me talk about this before on streams and stuff. This past January, I ended up in the emergency room one day because I thought I was having a stroke. What ended up happening was we had this big ice storm that rolled through, and I was really stressed out already because I had missed a bunch of days of work because of the ice storm, and my Challenger had gotten damaged, and I needed to try to get my truck out of the driveway, or at least I felt that I needed to try to get my truck out of the driveway. And so I had spent a huge chunk of this one day trying to shovel my driveway. It was all ice, it was all really heavy, I hadn't ate anything, hadn't really drank anything, and then tried to get the truck out of the driveway. My mom and I tried to go to the grocery store, and pretty much what I'm pretty sure happened, now that I know everything, is that I was already anxious in general of everything that specific day. And then I had like muscle cramps, and because my hands were cramping up, it kind of freaked me out. Also because my dad had a stroke. So that's kind of a familial history thing, and you start feeling your hands go numb. You're like, oh my God, what is happening? So that subsequently then sent me into a panic attack, which made everything significantly worse. And so that's how I ended up in the ER. And so it was a combo of like dehydration from and low potassium from doing way too much shoveling without really drinking or eating anything, and then also the panic attack from like the muscle cramps that the dehydration and low potassium had caused. But ever since that happened, I've just felt more anxious about stuff in general, and I've kind of spiraled easier about things than I used to. I never really felt like I had an anxiety disorder before, but I kind of think maybe I have a little bit of one now. I've had it happen a few times in the months since then where I've gotten nervous about something, and then it's just kind of spiraled to the point where I just have to not do the thing that I was planning on doing because I just get so worked up about it. The thing is, I have had some issues with anxiety in the past, even though I was saying that I've never really felt this anxious, and I haven't ever felt this anxious. The thing that comes to mind was when I was in high school. I've talked about it a little bit before, and I'm not going to get super into the details, but I had a really bad breakup, and I got kind of bullied my senior year of high school, and it made me really anxious, and like I wasn't really able to eat anything at school because I was so worked up, and I like didn't want to go into the lunchroom at school because I was so worked up about it, because that's where my ex-girlfriend and her friends were. But eventually I did pretty much fully get over that. And then I also had another sort of similar thing happen when I was in college, where I had a bad breakup, got just kind of totally ghosted by a girl that I was dating, never really had an explanation as to what happened, and it really freaked me out, made me really nervous to run into her around campus and stuff. And so I had some bad anxiety about that as well, but eventually also got over that. So I'm hoping this is just a temporary thing, that over time I'll be able to get over this. And next time I go to see my doctor, I might try to see if maybe go see a therapist or something like that. I don't really think I need like medication for it. I don't really want to do that, but I think maybe try to see a therapist to learn some better like mechanisms for dealing with anxiety and stuff could be good for me. And other than that, honestly, there's not a ton going on in my life right now because I don't have a job right now. I've mentioned it on stream a little bit before, but I might as well mention it here. So I've been working at a big used game multimedia store. The explanation I usually use is it was like a Second and Charles, but it was a different chain. And I've been working there for about 2 years, 2.5 years, but quit that to start a different job, which was a government job, not the federal government or anything, just like a more local government agency. But then I started that job, realized that it was not at all for me, and also like the pay and the benefits kind of sucked a lot more than they made it sound like they did. So I ended up quitting that job after just a few days, and so now I just don't have a job. So I need to look more for jobs. I haven't really gotten around to looking at jobs yet, actually, because I've been trying to just kind of clean up my room and kind of prepare myself for like whatever thing I do next. So I need to spend some time doing that as well. But if I do get the watch hours required for monetization on this channel, that would be helpful, because I know that this channel channel doesn't get enough views right now for it to be like a full-time job. But even just a little bit of money coming from YouTube could be really helpful, because I don't really need like a lot of money to survive. I live with my family and stuff still. I don't really have that many bills, but I do need like some sort of income. And then one last sort of tidbit worth mentioning is that I'm still kind of debating on if I even want to live in the US or not. I came back after grad school because I didn't find a job in the UK, and I just kind of felt like I was going to go through all my savings if I stayed there without a job. And I'm not going to get political about it, but it's pretty easy to see right now why people are kind of trying to move out of the US, why there's been like a bunch of people who, like doctors and nurses, people who can easily get visas in other countries, why a lot of those people have done that. The thing is, I don't have any sort of training like that. I don't have dual citizenship anywhere or anything, so it's not easy for me to move out of the US. So I don't know for sure, like, if that's even a possibility really, but it's something that I kind of want to look into some more and try to maybe apply for some jobs in other places and stuff. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. So thank you guys again for 1,000 subscribers. I am very, very thankful for it, and I'm looking forward to continue working on stuff on this channel. Another thing, I have a video planned which is going to be explaining Todd and Thomas, the socks that I wear on my hands in real life videos, because I said that I would do that at 1,000 subscribers. That'll be a really cool video. There's some cool history there, but it might take me a while to make that video just because I need to figure out how I want to make that video, but that is on the way. I will have that eventually. So that'll be cool. Hand reveal coming soon. So also, one other thing, I keep forgetting things. If you guys have any questions for me, be sure to leave them in the comments, because I didn't really want to try to do a Q&A because I didn't really think I would get enough questions for a Q&A. But if you guys are curious about me, anything about me, feel free to ask me anything. Leave the questions in the comments. If I do get a bunch of questions, I could do a Q&A video. If not, I can just respond to them in the comments. But yeah, I figured that was an appropriate thing for 1,000 subscribers. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in other stuff in the future, and bye-bye.